joining us again.
Hi there.
Hope you guys had a great week. What are we talking about today, Mr. Jones?
We're going to talk about a broad topic, time. Time. How fast time goes, right? There's a promo video for this podcast that shows a bunch of clocks moving, and it shows the pages turning very fast, and that is what's happening here to all of us, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't think we ever stop to really think or realize how fast the days are going by. But as you get older, we talk to our older friends, I'm pushing 50. So as you get closer to that age, you start realizing like, man, time is exponentially moving faster, right? Every decade goes a little bit quicker. So
does it though?
I don't know.
Or is it that you're just older and you're recognizing stuff?
Yeah.
More.
Yeah.
It's more obvious to you. What's going on?
That's like the question you ask people. Do you think the world's getting more wicked, or do we just see it now? Same kind of question. Is time going faster, or do you just have a whole lot more in your mind to occupy it? So it just goes faster. I don't know.
Well, now it's the age of the cell phones, and you have everything at your fingertips. So, you're basically a walking computer. So, time's going to go a lot faster because you can keep yourself occupied even standing in line.
There's a podcaster that said it like this. They said, back in the olden days, you used to have to send a letter in the mail, and it would take, a horse or whatever, a train, whatever, to go that much further, that slower to get that message there. Well, now you can just text somebody. You used to have results from tests medically a lot slower back then. There's so many things, TV, sports, all that stuff. Like you can watch 18 different sports at once where you used to listen to it on a radio. So everything's going that much faster, which means, this guy said, you basically have 2 days in one day. Like if you didn't hit your objectives and goals in your first half of the day, you got a whole nother day, because that's how fast technology and our world is moving now.
Well, it's made it easier for us to get things done in a faster amount of time.
Yeah.
Where before we'd have to wait for things to get delivered to all the processes of it. Now it's like almost everything's instant.
Yeah.
So
Instacart.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
All these things you can just get on here real quick, but what it does is I think it lulls us and we get so into it that time just maybe is going even faster. Because if you can get two things done, if you can almost have 2 days in one day with business and a lot of your schedule, then that would be like 2 days slipped by you in one day almost. Anyways.
Well, because you can get wrapped up in your phone on Facebook, social media, emails, or Google searches, or the news, or whatever.
Yeah.
That takes a lot of time away. And, if time is truly going faster, like you say, then, well, even before that, time is precious. You need to make sure that what you are doing with your time is something that's important and valuable and worth it. Yeah. Because you only have, you've always said this. It's like our life is like an hourglass. And once that last pebble of sand drops, that's like our life. Once that last pebble of sand drops, once we take that last breath, that's it. So you only have that much. And none of us know where we are in our hourglass, right? So, it's just important to make sure that, you're always telling your loved ones how much you love them. We take it for granted. We think everyone's just going to be back here tomorrow, or we'll see you Sunday. Mm-hmm. You might not.
Yeah.
You might not. I told my kids this all the time. Our kids are now, our son just turned 23 yesterday, and our daughters are 26 and gonna be 28.
Yeah. They're like, getting up there.
They're getting up there. So, I've always told them, like, I know you can frustrate each other, but you are not promised to have your sibling tomorrow.
Yeah.
So if they leave and you're mad and something happens, you're going to feel really guilty. And that's actually happened to me before.
I told one of my daughters, her son just turned 10 a while ago. And I said, your son is halfway to 20. And she goes, Dad, don't tell me that. Don't tell me that. But you almost need to know that. Like,
you do need to know that.
You are halfway there, as far as raising a child. But, back to the hourglass thing you were saying, I always told our kids or people we meet, like, if you knew that when you woke up in the morning, you had a massive hourglass, like 8-10 feet tall, in your closet as you picked out your clothes or you're getting ready for work or your day, and it had an hourglass and it said your name, Darren, on it, right? And you saw the sand going through that big hourglass, your sense of urgency through the day would be dramatically different because it would be on the forefront of your mind. You'd be like, wow.
I think we'd probably make a lot of different decisions throughout our day if we really knew.
Yeah. I think that the whole purpose of this episode is like to be aware of it, not just always talk about it. Someone dies. We've been around someone who just had another death in the family. It's like, dude, it goes by so fast. And it's like, yeah, it does. So you need to take times where you're like, no, what am I doing here, man? And really, really capitalize the moments that you have. This whole zoning out thing on Netflix and the phones and all that, we all do it. Mm-hmm. But it's like, you better make sure you tell those people that you love them. And you better make sure that you're checking in on people, or even just checking in on yourself. Go work out, go do stuff, have a good, healthy life. But the pages are ripping by, and you're going to look back and go, damn, I wasted 10 years. Mm-hmm. I don't have those regrets, thank God. I've been around people that do have those regrets. They've gone down ventures for a long time, and they come back and they're like, man, I screwed myself. But the only thing you can do is move forward if you did waste time. But time is the most precious thing you ever have. They did this little study with the hospice nurses that they asked them like the top 5 things that people before they pass would like to say. Like, what lessons did you learn in your life? The top 5 things. One of the top 5 things, I think it was 2 or 3. One of my favorites is it said always appreciate your health. Like, no matter if you don't have ailments in your body right now, or your stomach's not hurting you, or you don't have a broken bone, or you should just be like giving thanks and gratefulness for that. Because when you're laid out in the hospital and you're like, when I get out of here, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. Like, but the other thing is, in the hospice little study they did with the nurses was time. Like, realize it's as equally as important as your health, because when they're both gone, they're gone.
The hard thing though is really to not take it for granted. In the day to day, how do you do that? Mm-hmm. How do you not take it for granted in the day to day? You get busy doing your thing, going to work, doing paperwork, doing this, chasing your dreams.
The Stoics would teach, hence Stoic events, but the Stoics would teach that you should live your life as if you've already died yesterday. Mm-hmm. So when you wake up, you're like, oh my God, I have a gift today. So you live in the moment and you maximize you entirely and those around you, So this kind of helps when you're dealing with death as well. Like, we've had to come reason, this is about time now, right? We've had to come reason to the fact that one of us could possibly live the rest of our life without each other. And we know someone that happened to that lost a partner for years, and it's devastating. But you have to come to terms and really realize that for a minute. Like, one of us could go before the other. So what we try to do is say, okay, if we wake up today, it's a gift because we both could have died yesterday in a car accident. Mm-hmm. So if she does pass before me, then I can say, but I've already had these extra bonus moments with him because I've already lived in that mindset already. So that's a way.
Well, and that's the other reason that they always say to make sure that you go to bed and you're on good terms when you go to bed, because you're not guaranteed to wake up tomorrow.
Yeah.
I actually knew somebody personally that didn't wake up, and then one of our son's friends, twin brothers, didn't wake up. Remember? Mm-hmm. I don't know. They were totally
like just
healthy,
not partying, nothing, just going to sleep and didn't wake up.
Yeah.
This is why I think it was the last podcast or the podcast before we were talking about relationships and how big forgiveness is. Like, you can forgive people for big things, offensive things, but in a relationship or people that you love with, when time's an issue, you need to make sure you're forgiving quickly and easily the smallest of things.
The problem is, though, we don't think about time being an issue, right? And that's the problem.
It's the biggest issue.
My sister-in-law, we kind of had a little bit of a falling out, or she did some things that upset me, and I was like really holding a grudge against her for what she said and accused my brother and all this stuff, right? And she would text me or try to call me, and I would talk to the kids, but I wouldn't talk to her. And that had lasted probably about a month, maybe. And next thing I knew, I got a phone call that she drowned in the lake. She was only 32 years old. Talk about
That's pretty crazy.
Some major guilt that I had, because I did love her. I was just really upset with her. And it wasn't anything that was enough for me to be that upset with her. And so I had to deal with those emotions of saying, I went round, like, oh my gosh, I hope she knows how much I loved her. Oh my gosh, I hope she. Long story short, I dealt with all those emotions, and I do realize that she did know that I loved her. It was just that moment. She knew me better than that. But like, that was a real big wake up call for me, especially just because, I'm always telling my kids, you never know. And then here I am holding this grudge, not thinking you never know, not thinking that there's a time limit, just thinking that, well, we'll just see what happens in the future, and now there isn't. There isn't.
We always have tomorrow.
It's
right?
done. It's final. Yeah. I don't have tomorrow. I can't. There's nothing else I can do. Nothing I can do physically. Nothing. And so, when you go through something like that, it really kind of opens your mind and realize, like, you have to love your people no matter what happens. Mm-hmm. We've had friends come and go, relationships come and go. But, that's part of life, I think. But ultimately, if we were to run into one of those people, it'd be like, oh my God, hi, how are you? How are things? Whatever. That's happened to me before. But I just think that we take so much stuff for granted. I think that's probably one of the hardest things to kind of keep your focus on time, because we take it for granted. Mm-hmm. And it's really hard in this world today. We're distracted by so many things going on. Like I said, your cell phone, you can be contacted at any moment, at any time of the day, no matter where you're at, unless you lose cell phone service. You have TV. We have so much TV streaming that we can watch anything we want here. We go through times of COVID where we're cut off from all of our people, and so it's like, but you're still so distracted by everything that's going on, political things, health things, drama, stupid stuff, whatever it may be, we are distracted. So how do you keep your brain or your mind having that gratitude towards time, or thinking about time?
Well, you got to give up some things. You have to. And she's talking about how we're watching all this stuff on TV. I'll just do a little sidebar here real quick. There's an incident that happened recently with, remember that the sub that went down, right? Mm-hmm. And then all the stories that came out after.
Ocean Gate.
And everybody's all worked up over that they hid all these stories. They've been doing this shit for our entire lives. Why are we still consuming our minds with those things? Take your partner's hand and go for a walk. Or say, hey, let's play a game together. Or stimulate yourself in some other way than just sitting there in front of a screen and listening to all the shit they tell you. That's a little sidebar. That's burning up time, big time. And then you sit around and bitch about that.
It does.
But they
think about
it's always the same story re-looked, and we're wasting our time when we should be doing this right.
Well, think about scrolling on social media.
Same shit.
You get lost in it, man. Like, you're like, I'm just gonna check it real quick, and you check it, and that's great. My family's all on the East Coast, so it's a great way for me to be able to stay in contact with all my cousins and distant cousins and cousins and cousins and cousins and aunts and uncles, and I get to see all their little ones grow up, and I feel like I know them, even though I really don't know them very well, because I don't get back there as often as I'd like. But I get to see all of this, and so for that, I love social media for that aspect. But it does get you, you're in a trance. You're on there, and like, you can get off, and you're like, oh my gosh, I've been on there for like an hour.
Dude, this is old news. I'm not saying anything that's very revolutionary, but they have proven this over and over, that it releases dopamine in your head, in your mind.
What does?
Watching social media and all that, when you do all that, it releases dopamine, and it's like a little bit of a drug sensation where, like, I got to get my fix. They've proven it, and that's even more so with all the news and all that crazy stuff. But
isn't that more like the blue light or whatever that's in the phone?
No, it's actually, it might be. I would love to know if that's true or not. But
I don't know.
I think it's also the excitement of knowing what the tea is, right?
Yeah.
We all want to know, what's the tea? But when we just consume about it and sit here and talk about it all the time, we're wasting time. We are wasting time concerning ourselves with things that we can't affect. We can't change. Mm-hmm. If you can affect something, you should be talking about it. And I'm not saying you talk about it all the time. It goes to talk about all the ideas that we have. But creatively come together and do things that make your life more enhanced together. Here, not here or whatever, as you're watching your phone listening to this.
Well, maybe just listening to it.
But time is just so big, man. Like, you're going to come to the end of all this. You do realize you're going to die, right? You're going to die. We're going to leave it right there. We're wasting time. And we need to make sure that we capitalize on our time. 100%. And it can't always be like that. Like, oh, it's so intense, right? There's times just F off and who gives a shit what we do, right? Right? Zone out, whatever, do whatever we're going to do. But you need to make sure you're capitalizing on your time and efficiently setting your day up so you're like, this is important to me. I'm going to spend some time on this. This is a goal I have. I'm going to spend time on this. We can't just keep saying, yeah, I will. We talked about that in another episode too, where I make stupid excuses for stuff, which meanwhile time's just going, just like the video, the pages are flipping. So I don't know, man. It's not good. It's not good to waste time. Wasted time is not good.
You can look at it a little bit differently. You don't have to look at it like wasted time. You could look at it like you learned something in that time, right?
If you learned something, yeah.
It's kind of wasted, but it's, it can not be. It can also be not wasted by changing your mindset and be like, I did that, and yeah, I probably shouldn't have done it. Probably stupid, but you probably did find something, maybe some tea or who knows, right?
Tea is good sometimes.
My granddaughter loves tea. She'll sit there and listen to you, and she's only 4 months old. But no, but you can't focus on wasting time. You have to focus on maximizing your time. I think if you keep focusing on wasting time, all you're gonna do is beat yourself up, and you can't beat yourself up because then you stay there, and then that gets you down another rabbit hole, and you go somewhere completely different, and now you're not even focused on time anymore. Yeah. So I think the most important thing, the thing that I think that we want you to take away from this is to value your time. Value your time with your loved ones. Make sure you tell them that you love them. Make sure they know.
It's the big hourglass in your closet every morning. Whatever your name is. John. Bill. Well, I don't care who it is. It's running out every day. And you should think about that. Like, okay, how am I using my day to day? How am I using, I should show them that little thing right there. But it's basically an old proverb that has I can see if I can find the picture for you. But it's a skeleton holding up a crossbar, and he's pointing it right at you, and he says, no matter what happens in life, you will all dance to the song that I sing, which is death. And it's a crossbow looking right at you. In other words, it's the Grim Reaper saying, you're going to die.
Okay, let's talk about something positive. You keep pushing this death. Are you Ocean's Gate right now? Are we signing an Ocean's Gate contract here?
It's about maximizing your time.
Gosh.
It's about maximizing your time, right?
Yes. Okay. Not about death. We all know that's going to happen.
Of course it's about life.
About life.
About life.
Yes. Enjoying every second of your life.
That's right.
Yeah. So what would you want the number one takeaway today to be?
Capitalize on your time no matter what.
Enjoy your life.
Yeah. Enjoy your life. Do what you want to do as long as it brings you happiness and it doesn't hurt anyone else. And uplift those around you. It's really that simple. Yeah. Right? Mm-hmm. Whoever you come in contact with, just like the song says, if you can't be with the one you're with, if you can't be with the one you love, if I'm not with her and I'm out in the streets running around, love the one you're with. Be nice with the person in front of you. Show love to them. So, I hope you guys got something from this.
Don't forget, as always, like, subscribe, send to somebody that might get something from this. Hope this wasn't too dark for you.
It was not too dark.
I don't know. Mr. Jones kept talking about death over here. This guy.
Next one's going to be...
Nope, we're not going to tell him. We don't.
Even better.
Have a great night.